Have you ever found yourself, really wondering what it would look like if the unthinkable happened? What if, right here in our modern world, the United States homeland faced a full-scale invasion? How would we even defend ourselves? Today, we're not just throwing hypotheticals around. This is a real deep dive into a meticulously crafted scenario. We're going to look at the layers of defense, the sheer speed of the response, and the unbelievable scale of national mobilization that would kick in. We'll actually unpack a hypothetical timeline, minute by minute, day by day, to show how a coordinated attack might unfold and how the nation would react.
Yeah, and it's important to say exploring this isn't about creating fear, not at all.
Mhm.
It's really about appreciating the incredibly complex, multi-layered systems that are designed specifically to protect the homeland. So this deep dive, think of it like a mind map almost, showing how all these pieces, early warning, counteroffense, everything would lock together in a crisis like this.
And believe me, as we trace this out, there are some genuine aha moments, some really surprising facts in here. Okay, let's dig into this and see how it might play out. So, day 0. It starts with the unthinkable made real. Picture this. 5:04 a.m. West Coast time. Bang! 3 high-altitude EMP detonations, that's electromagnetic pulses meant to fry electronics. Satellites go blind, the power grid around Seattle collapses, phones die, smart cars just stop. Then, the real attack hits. Cruise missiles screaming across Puget Sound, hitting airfields, data centers, power stations, and drone swarms coming in from the Pacific, jamming radar, hunting targets. It's terrifying.
But what's really striking is how quickly detection happens, even in that chaos. At 4:30 a.m. Eastern, NORAD operators see these faint blips over the Pacific. Almost at the same time, infrared satellites pick up heat blooms, missile launches, multiple launches. They quickly ID them, cruise missiles, short-range ballistics, probably from subs, and, well, disguised cargo ships out in international waters. And right away, the system flags it. This isn't random. The correlation tells them it's the start of something big, a coordinated Russo-Chinese invasion targeting Seattle.
Wow, okay. A full-scale invasion. That's a huge jump from just radar blips. How fast does that news get up the chain to the president?
Instantly. I mean, alarms are blaring in Cheyenne Mountains. Cure lines light up all over D.C. The president is woken, rushed to safety, briefed on this staggering news. Their strategy, it seems, is what we call bite and hold. Grab a foothold fast, Seattle push the U.S. Navy back, dominate the sea lanes nearby, and then try to force some kind of negotiated end from that position.
And the military response, how quickly do jets get in the air?
Just 7 minutes later, 4:37 a.m. Eastern. Air Force, Air National Guard units, they're scrambling under Operation Noble Eagle. That's the post-9/11 Homeland Air Defense Plan. You've got fighters on alert at 16 bases. F-16s from Fort Worth, F-15s, Raptors, Navy FA-18s, they're airborne in minutes, heading towards the threats. Job 1, intercept enemy planes, shoot down missiles, figure out what's coming next. And NORAD, working with the FAA, grounds all civilian flights nationwide. Just like 9/11, clear the skies. Okay, so by 4:45 Eastern, the first missiles are hitting or getting hit. You've got Aegis destroyers off the coast launching SM-3 interceptors. These are warships with incredible radar and missile systems. In Florida, near MacDill Air Force Base, a Patriot battery nails a cruise missile over Tampa Bay. That's your mobile surface-to-air defense. But they don't get everything. The West Coast assault is pretty brutal. Missiles hit early warning radars in Northern California. Joint Base Lewis McChord near Tacoma gets hammered. The port of Seattle, too. Maybe 30 missiles actually hit U.S. soil. Significant damage, yes, but the strategic surprise, it fails. Key assets are still up.
And what's amazing, really, is how fast the defense system adapts. It just shows the depth of planning.
Right. So the initial shock doesn't break the system. What happens as morning breaks? By 5:30 a.m. Eastern, U.S. Northern Command North COCOM in Colorado Springs, they take operational control. Things escalate. DEFCON levels jump to DEFCON 1. That's the highest alert. It means attack is imminent or underway. Unprecedented. Combat air patrols start orbiting critical sites, D.C., New York, NORAD itself, Silicon Valley, even the nuclear missile fields out west. But the main focus is the Pacific Northwest. The 7th Infantry Division, 1st Corps HQ, Air Force units at Lewis McChord, Special Forces, they're forming a thin defensive line initially.
And we get confirmation. We get combined Chinese-Russian forces ashore in Elliott Bay, Seattle, amphibious armor rolling off ships. We also learned Russian Spetsnaz teams, special forces were already in place. Sabotage starts on bridges, port facilities. At the same time, a Chinese carrier group pushes east into the Pacific, heading south towards California, bombers supporting them. That's the bite and hold playing out. Grab the city, block U.S. access, force talks. The U.S. response ramps up. Coast Guard cutters, those smaller, faster littoral combat ships, they surge to the coast. The 82nd and 101st Airborne, 4-hour standby. ready to go. And the president addresses the nation from a secure site. Social media explodes, hashtag attack on America, hashtag World War III. Videos of jets over Seattle, fires at the port before the cell service starts dying.
So as the day goes on, the intelligence picture gets clear. Yeah, by morning, military intelligence is piecing it together. This isn't just terror. It's a full-blown, multi-domain, trans-Pacific campaign. The goal: knock out U.S. naval dominance, occupy U.S. territory, even temporarily. They launch from everywhere. Subs off Alaska, those disguised cargo ships near Hawaii, bombers from the Kurils, South China Sea. There's even a massive diversionary attack, North Koreans pouring across the DMZ.
And we realized there were pre-strike maneuvers, too. Big exercises in the South China Sea, the Arctic, designed to pull U.S. carriers away. Plus, waves of cyber attacks hit just before, briefly blinded early warning nets, messed with satellites, jammed comms. Just enough of a window. But even with all that, U.S. resilience is holding. Continuity of government plans kick in, secure networks reroute data, critical command centers, Cheyenne Mountain, Raven Rock, they're deep underground, intact. That layered defense, that depth is absolutely crucial. It's going to cause the invaders major problems.
Okay, so day 0 afternoon, noon Eastern. The Pentagon sees the bigger picture now, as Seattle's seized, but they anticipate more California, maybe Alaska. The Navy reacts fast. Second Fleet shores up the Atlantic. Third and Seventh Fleets combine out west. Operation Backtide. The mission: kick the invaders out of U.S. waters, stop any more landings. F-35s are repositioning. P-8 Poseidons are out hunting subs. B-52s, B-1s getting ready for standoff strikes on enemy command ships. Army and Marine units are racing north to form a solid perimeter around Seattle. And the National Guard in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, they're activated. Reinforcements helping evacuate civilians. So end of day 0, what's the takeaway?
Well, connecting the dots, by the end of that first brutal 24 hours, the battle for Seattle is definitely raging. The U.S. homeland is hit hard, but it's not destroyed. It wasn't the kill shot they wanted. The layered defense held, absorbed the initial blow, and allowed this massive counter-mobilization to begin. It's on.
Right. So day 1 ends, and the U.S. shifts into a defensive posture we haven't seen since, well, maybe ever on home soil like this. Pearl Harbor geared us up for war overseas. This is different. Seattle's occupied. The West Coast is under attack. The homeland is the battlefield. The president invokes the War Powers Act, lets him commit forces, immediately declares a national emergency. All 50 governors activate their National Guard. We're talking, nearly 325,000 Army Guard, 105,000 Air Guard. Huge numbers. And here's where it gets really interesting. These citizen soldiers, they're deploying domestically, guarding bridges, power plants, comms hubs, government buildings. You see guardsmen setting up defenses in New York City, more barriers in D.C. Out west, it's active war. Troops digging in along I-5. Air defense batteries popping up around airports. Seattle itself is a contested urban nightmare. Evacuations under fire. The enemy's trying to dig in, stop reinforcements, get a supply line going across the Pacific.
And you have to consider the broader societal impact. It raises important questions. The government uses the Defense Production Act, compels industry to prioritize defense. Fuel goes to the military. Airliners become troop transports. Factories switch to making ammo, drones, to Mortis 7. Civilian flights stay grounded. Government officials move to secure sites. And you see unrest near the attack zones, refugees moving inland, curfews on the West Coast, panic buying clear shelves. It's a massive shock to the system.
Then day 2. And America's unique character comes into play. You've got nearly 400 million private firearms out there. Law enforcement starts quietly working with local militias, gun clubs, setting up quick reaction forces. The enemy took one city, but the rest of the country is, locked and loaded. The military focuses on fortifying key areas now. The Pacific Coast, Alaska, the southwest border. Intel warns maybe paratroopers trying to sneak in via Mexico. The Olympic Peninsula becomes a militarized zone. Coastal artillery moves in. Navy SEALs, Marine recon are hunting for enemy spotters. Marines set up Javelin and TOW anti-tank missiles overlooking coastlines, highways. Helos patrol Highway 1. Major West Coast cities, LA, San Francisco, Anchorage, start partial evacuations. Seattle's tough, but they're preparing elsewhere too. Back east, the 10th Mountain Division moves to the Carolina coast. The 82nd Airborne, still waiting, ready for that call to jump into Seattle.
So by the close of day 2, you've got over 250,000 active duty troops deployed domestically. Hundreds of tanks, armored vehicles forming defensive layers. AWCS planes, drones, satellites, they're providing that crucial overhead view, knitting the defense together. The element of surprise is completely gone now. It's just war. Open war on U.S. soil.
Okay, day 3. While Seattle is still the main fight, the enemy tries something else. A diversion. Before dawn, another amphibious group tries to land near Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, Central Coast, trying to split U.S. forces, grab a key target. But this time, U.S. forces are waiting. Avengers, Stingers light up the sky. AC-130 gunships, escorted by F-35s, just shred them on the beaches. Army Rangers are there too. What's fascinating is how fast the tactics adapted from the Seattle landing. This fight, brutal, close in, and short. Over in under 2 hours, they capture survivors. Interrogations actually involving Chinese-American students helping with language confirm it. Seattle is the main objective. They want a long-term liberated zone.
Northcom sees this, reacts fast. 1st Marine Division moves toward L.A. 3rd Infantry Division starts rolling west from Georgia. Tanks on trains. Air defenses tighten further. Patriot. THAAD missile systems ring L.A., San Diego. Combat air patrols are constant over the Pacific. The carriers Vincent, Roosevelt, Lincoln are spreading out. 2 more heading towards Hawaii. Guam to block reinforcements. And allies start joining. Canada's in 1st, CF-18s flying patrols. NATO sends AWACS. Japanese destroyers join a U.S. task force. Now you're looking at over 500,000 U.S. troops mobilized active, Guard, Reserve, 1,500 fighter jets, over 100 warships, 60 subs forming that shield. The enemy's surprise is gone. Their Seattle beachhead is cut off, basically crumbling. The multinational response is turning their bite and hold into a trap.
So, end of day 3. The initial attacks are blunted. Defense is solidified. America pivots. Time to hit back right. That Seattle false is isolated. Hundreds of miles from help. Their planet C is falling apart. And the home turf advantage kicks in. U.S. logistics are working overtime. Supplies moving way faster than the enemy can manage. The Russo-Chinese gamble faces reality. Time, numbers, logistics, they all favor the U.S. Feels like shades of the Pacific in WWII. Don't just contain, erase the threat. Turn the ocean into a graveyard for any follow-on force.
Dawn, day 4. And America unleashes hell. B-2 Spirits from Whiteman Air Force Base, stealth bombers. Their target, the enemy's floating command ships off the coast. They slip in, release precision JDAMs, decapitation strike. At the same time, B-1B Lancers come in low and fast from dives, each carrying long-range anti-ship missiles. Autonomous sea skimmers, they devastate the enemy destroyers, transports. Under the waves, Virginia and LA-class subs launch Tomahawks at ships, supply points. The USS Zumwalt fires hypervelocity rounds from way out, vaporizing a landing ship. By midday, the enemy's fleet is burning, breaking apart, and aircraft carriers fatally hit. Transport ships just disappear. By nightfall, the invasion fleet is effectively destroyed at sea. It's this incredible, coordinated application of air power, sea power, subsurface power. Decisive.
Wow. A devastating counterpunch. But there's still a desperate last gasp. Yeah. Day 5. Somehow, a reinforced enemy Marine brigade makes it ashore near Huntington Beach, south of L.A. Early morning. Landing craft, hovercraft, explosions on the beach. For a few hours, it looks like maybe a second beachhead. Chaos. But it doesn't last. The 1st Marine Division is only 60 miles away. They surge north, along with the California National Guard. M1 Abrams tanks roll in. Strike brigades block escape. Apaches provide close air support. Hellfire's raining down. AC-130s orbit overhead. By nightfall, it's over. Crushed. Drones show pictures of captured enemy soldiers zip-tied on the boardwalk. First time a foreign flag flew over a major U.S. city since 1814. Lasted less than a day.
So day 7. The homeland is basically secure. And now, the gloves come off. Completely. The Pentagon orders the rest of Operation Backtide, full spectrum offense, destroy their ability to try this again. Ohio-class subs launch hundreds of Tomahawks, hitting enemy naval bases, radar sites, airfields in their Pacific launch zones, South China Sea, Siberia, Vladivostok, just erasing them. B-52s fly long-range bombing runs, including dropping leaflets, PSYOP, telling enemy civilians what's happening. U.S. Cyber Command goes offensive, enemy power grids flicker out, trains stop, comms go dark. U.S.-backed insurgent inside enemy territory activate. Special Ops cleans up remaining threats here, SEALs in the San Juans, Army SF in Alaska. The tide is totally turned. Seattle is isolated, dying on the vine. No ammo, no reinforcements. Units start surrendering. The U.S. sends a clear message. Surrender or face annihilation. The nuclear option remains on the table, untouched but ready.
Week 2 arrives. We're looking at Fortress North America now. West Coast stable, Seattle contained. The U.S. shifts to sustained defense, industrial mobilization, eliminating any lingering threats. The homeland is scarred, but the initiative is ours. Troops reinforce Guam, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. The Panama Canal gets U.S. protection. Surveillance ramps up in the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico. The Rio Pact is activating mutual defense in the Americas. Canada's fully engaged. Mexico helps. Brazil, Colombia offer support. And the Space Force proves its value. Quick satellite launches replace losses. GPS, comms get hardened. DARPA tech gets fast-tracked. Along the coast, you get this mesh of over-the-horizon radar limps. Even the Civil Air Patrol, drone hobbyists, local sheriffs with boats get involved in surveillance. Total defense.
Week 3, the industrial might really kicks in. Defense Production Act fully leveraged. Detroit's making military vehicles instead of pickups. Boeing's churning out drones. Lockheed's on triple shifts for F-35s. Shipyards are working around the clock. They're even reactivating old mothballed ships, fitting them with modern missile pods, AI systems. A new Victory fleet. Selected service is reactivated, though enlistment is already sky high. Boot camps are full. Amazingly, energy agriculture remains stable. Americans adapt rationing, victory gardens, a real war mode mindset. Pentagon's secret labs, DARPA, they're pushing out new tech. Micro-drones, AI threat assessment, loitering munitions. Silicon Valley joins the war effort, logistics, AI, better comms, cybersecurity. And the world aligns. NATO Article 5 is fully invoked. UK ships join US fleets. German, French jets deploy. Polish troops train alongside U.S. forces. Australia, Japan are key hubs. Global sanctions cripple the invaders' economies. The war they started to break America is breaking them instead.
So week 4. Life back home finds a weird kind of new normal. Schools reopen, but with armored buses, drills, ROTC programs swell. Holidays have a very different, somber but determined tone. War is part of life, but it hasn't stopped life. Maybe clarified priorities. Defense planners stay vigilant. Intel warns of possible rogue attacks, special ops, maybe a missile strike. Defenses remain high. Patriots, the aid, Aegis ashore, even Israeli Iron Dome tech gets shared. Mass casualty drills happen. Hospitals ready. Comms tested. Seattle. Still contested, but surrounded. Watched. Slowly being liberated, block by block. The only thing not going back to normal, that heightened defense posture. It feels permanent now. Fortress America is real.
And that brings us to the final assessment, really. End of week 4, 1 month in. American forces are surging. Supply lines hum. Allies are committed. There's more fighting ahead, sure, but the strategic outcome isn't in doubt. The U.S. sets the pace now. The enemy is reeling. What's fascinating is how that initial bite and hold in Seattle was meant to shock the world. And it did, just not how they planned. It didn't break America's will. It ignited it. It didn't fracture alliances. It solidified them. Their fleet, shattered. Elite troops, overrun. Holding U.S. territory lasted 6 days, ended with surrenders on a California beach. Militarily speaking, a decisive strategic failure for the invaders. It really makes you think about resilience, adaptability in modern war. How fast can a nation pivot? How much does sheer willpower count?
Yeah, this whole deep dive, it just highlights this fundamental truth, doesn't it? National strength isn't just hardware. It's that ability to adapt, to unite, to use every single tool you have when pushed to the absolute limit. It leaves you wondering about the sheer scale of coordination and that spirit that emerges. Pretty incredible. Well, if you found this deep dive as fascinating as we did and you want to keep exploring geopolitics, definitely like this deep dive and subscribe to the Geopolitics Gazette YouTube channel. Let us know in the comments what else you want us to unpack. We really do love hearing from you.